Mr. Vice President of the Parliament, Chair of the High-Level Group on Gender Equality and Diversity, Madam Chair of the Committee on Women's Rights and Gender Equality, Madam Commissioner, members of the European Parliament, members of the national parliaments, ladies and gentlemen. It is a distinct pleasure to be here today and address you on the eve of the International Women's Day. I regard the promotion of women's rights and ambitions as one of my primary responsibilities as a citizen of the EU and a citizen of the world. To stand before you today as the first female president of Croatia is not a matter of course and self-evident, and I do not take it for granted. I had to persist and fight for my place in life and in politics. I have pushed up and broken so many glass ceilings, often at great personal cost, just as have countless other women in Croatia and in Europe. Women have led a long struggle for their rights and their equality, and our fight continues. Some things are worth repeating time and time again. Women have achieved wonders, but we're still not there yet, especially not in some parts of the world. When you look around the room at any major gathering or world body, when you look around yourself, be it at the United Nations, the European Union, the OSCE, or the Council of Europe, women will be in the minority. This is also the case in this august body, the European Parliament, and in the parliaments of most of EU member states. Although our numbers have risen in the last decades, the EU must do better. We must all do better. Europe must continue to lead the way and be the beacon of hope for women around the world. In the 21st century, we still see child brides and modern slavery. We see female genital mutilation, but also extreme poverty, human trafficking, smuggling, denial of the right to education, of the right to work, of the right to health care, of the right to choice. We see violence, conflicts, and terrorism. Of course, many of these perils are not affecting only women and girls, but also boys and men. However, women are the often untapped power source and agents of peace and security. Their political participation is crucial for development, good governance, and democracy. It has been statistically proven that when women are included in reconciliation and rebuilding, the process has so much more of a chance to succeed. This is why we need more women involved in the prevention and resolution of conflicts and the maintenance of a sustainable and inclusive peace and politics in general. During the aggression against Croatia, women defended our liberty and independence side by side with men. They were doctors and nurses, political negotiators, and humanitarian workers. They were also pivotal in post-conflict rehabilitation and reconstruction. The positive contribution of women to sustainable peace and development is irreplaceable. When given full and equal access to resources and opportunities, and when included in decision-making, women drive development and peace forward. Women also tend to be more inclusive. Without women, peace is frail and development unattainable. For us in the European Union, gender equality is pivotal for all the obvious reasons. However, for the remaining skeptics and disbelievers, I will underline a very specific and sober reason: the economy. Research shows that countries with a higher share of women in executive and non-executive positions are more prosperous. There is a large positive impact on the GDP, a higher level of employment, increased productivity, and response to the challenges of aging populations. At the EU level, improving gender equality can lead to an increase of our common GDP anywhere from 6.1 to 9.6%, which is between 2 and 3.15 trillion euros. Countries where the greatest improvements are possible, including Croatia, have a potential for GDP growth of up to 12%. It is clear best gender policies reap best economic benefits, and economically successful societies have a simple formula: They are inclusive, and their women are empowered. On the other hand, lack of economic empowerment equals lack of freedom of choice. Economic dependency leads women, even in the developed world, into overall dependency, or even inability to escape domestic violence, for instance. The situation is dire in those parts of the world where women are valued less than domestic animals. Unfortunately, I have witnessed many scenes myself. When it comes to domestic violence, even in Croatia, courts are too lenient towards the perpetrators, let alone victims of sexual violence, who are often looked at with skepticism. And not to forget rape as a weapon of war. Women are often underpaid for the same job in comparison to men. Unemployment is greater among women. Mobility in the labor market often impeded by their right to have a family. Young women are regarded with suspicion when they apply for a job. Ladies and gentlemen, women are pilots, engineers, nuclear physicists, and presidents, and at the same time, mothers, sisters, and caretakers of their families. If that were not enough, they often have to be better and work a lot more than men to succeed. This is an immense burden. However, we continue to prove daily and time again that we can do it. Not only are we doing it, we're excelling at it, even in the most difficult of circumstances. But perhaps this is exactly why we are, if not better, but then just as equipped to be equally represented in politics and in our governments, parliaments, and boardrooms. However, I have witnessed it myself. When prime ministers or presidents are looking for candidates for their ministers, they often look at men, at the pool of men. And only when they have a list of men, they think, oh, wait, we need to have a few women in there as well. This is the unfortunate truth. Quota are often not respected. In most countries, parties will rather pay fines than put the required number of women on the lists. We must encourage women to get more involved and become the agents of change. The starting point is a change in mindsets. We need to build a political culture conducive to equal participation of women. We need to nurture ambition and stop telling our girls what they can and cannot do. Let us stop segregating boys and girls into different social roles. It is upon us to change the still widespread gender stereotypes. I absolutely refuse to accept the so-called cultural arguments when it comes to the rights of women. No culture will allow for inequality of one person against another, let alone women against men. And heritage and cultural customs cannot be used as an excuse for not acting, for not interfering in defending women's rights. As we integrate migrants in our societies, we have to be especially mindful of that as well. Stereotypes are not part of one's culture or religion. We need to remove them from school books, from TV ads, from the media, from our social life. It is high time society stop using such excuses for inaction. We need to promote the role of women, but also include men in this process as active stakeholders. To achieve this, we need to put an emphasis on education. Education is crucial in opening people's minds, but also in our effort to build a better future for women and with it for men and humanity as a whole. We need inclusion, equality, and equal opportunity. Nobody should be left behind. Education has to be amongst the priorities of all developing and development programs. It is the strongest weapon against all forms of prejudice and inequality. Ladies and gentlemen, the role of the media is particularly important. They need to balance their presentation of women to equal that of men. Women in politics have to endure a lot. I am no exception in that regard, but I've learned to deal with it and move on, ever more persistent to make this world a more welcoming place for our daughters. Opponents and ignorance will maliciously tear you down over your appearance, whatever you wear, how much you weigh, what hairstyle you wear. They will try to trivialize you. They will try to discourage you. They will try to patronize you. They will find supposed flaws in you which purportedly only pertain to women. But always remember, they're doing it because they still don't know better, or more often, out of weakness or out of fear. They're afraid of your potential and your power. My message to all women and girls is, have faith and believe in yourselves, in your value, in your strength, your knowledge, and your capabilities. Stand up for yourself and never give up. There is more and more of us each day, both women and men, who will support you, and your determination will make all remaining obstacles fall. Thank you.